Hi everyone. Oh my goodness. I don't know what happened there. I'm so sorry. But I hope you're here. I hope you can hear me well. And today we are going to talk about politeness in Spanish. This is an interesting topic, but before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. Also visit smlessons.com for more free Spanish lessons. And yeah. If you were in a different live stream, I just had one that was like happening a few seconds ago, a few minutes ago. That was a mistake. This is the correct live stream, and I'm so sorry about that. Hello, awesome Alice. Welcome. Welcome. And yeah, so before we get started, as I said, well, go to smlessons.com for more free Spanish lessons, and also give this video a like. That helps me a lot. And yes, hello Marcus, how are you? Ahora sí. Nehal, hello, hola, ¿cómo están? I hope you're doing well. And yeah, that was interesting. Sorry about that. I don't know why YouTube did that. It just created a different live stream. But yeah, I'm here. So as I was saying before, we're going to talk about some helpful phrases that will make you sound polite in Spanish. Maybe you know them. Some of them are very basic. Some of them are a little bit more challenging or a little bit more advanced. But most of them are basic. If you have any questions, please use the live chat and just ask whatever you want to ask about this topic, and let's get started. So it's very important to be polite in Spanish because you're going to sound kind, you're going to sound like you have manners. It's always a good idea to sound polite in any language, and it's better to be too polite than not being polite at all. Okay, so the first phrase is very easy. I'm pretty sure you know this one. This is a must phrase to learn in Spanish. That one is por favor. Por favor, and that means please. So every time you need to ask for something, or if you are at that restaurant, if you are at any place, you should use the phrase por favor when you ask something. So at the airport, anywhere, you can use it, por favor. So you can say, can you please do this for me? Por favor, right? So in Spanish would be, for example, quiero un café, por favor. That means I want coffee, please. Or, I don't know, you are at an airport and you can ask, I don't know, like, can you help me, please? ¿Puedes ayudarme, por favor? So usually, por favor goes at the end of sentences. So you say your sentence in Spanish and then say por favor, okay? And yeah, that's a very basic one. So let's see another phrase. Phrase number 2, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Okay? This is also a very basic Spanish phrase. You could say gracias only. You could say just this word right here, gracias. And that means thank you in Spanish. But if you're really grateful, or if you want to thank someone very much, you can say muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. And that means thank you very much. And I think I forgot, you saw the meaning of the first phrase. The first phrase was por favor, and that means please, right? You knew that one. I'm pretty sure you knew that one. Okay, so this was the second phrase. Muchas gracias means thank you very much. So again, you can use this phrase at the end of any sentence. You could say your Spanish sentence and then muchas gracias, or you can say it at the beginning of a sentence. You could say muchas gracias, I don't know, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you very much for being here. Like I always tell you, thank you so much for being here. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Okay? So I see some comments. James Wilson. Welcome, James. He's saying, quiero una cerveza, por favor. Yes, that's a perfect example that, you know, when you need to ask for something, you can say por favor. And who doesn't like beer, right? Quiero una cerveza, por favor means I want a beer, please. Good job, James. Now, Marcos is saying, or if you want to go extra, you can say muchísimas gracias. That's correct. You can say muchísimas gracias. That's like saying thank you so much. You know, you sound like extra thankful. Good job. Yeah, that's correct, Marcos. So yeah, this is phrase number 2. And yeah, it's a very helpful, polite phrase that you need to learn for sure. So the next phrase is a different way to say thank you. But sometimes you don't want to sound too repetitive. You don't want to say gracias, gracias, gracias constantly. So you can say cuánto te lo agradezco. Cuánto te lo agradezco. And this means, or it's similar to saying I can't thank you enough. You know, when you're just saying thank you so much, I can't thank you enough, you can say cuánto te lo agradezco. So if someone is doing something really like important for you, or if someone is helping you in something that you really need help with, you can use this phrase to thank them. So you can say cuánto te lo agradezco. I can't thank you enough. Okay, so yes, that is a very, very useful phrase to thank someone. Okay, so that was phrase number 3. We're going to learn around, like 13 phrases. So this was phrase number 3. The next one is de nada. Sorry, de nada. De nada. This is another basic phrase in Spanish. And if someone tells you thank you so much or muchas gracias, you can say something back. You can say de nada, de nada. And that means you're welcome. Okay? So that is very important to learn. This one is a very important phrase to learn. De nada. And I'm pretty sure you knew this phrase already. And yeah, just remember, you need to be polite in Spanish. So you can say de nada, and that means you're welcome. Okay, so I see some messages. Marcos is saying arigato gozaimasu. Yes, that's Japanese. That's Japanese. Yes, that's another amazing language. Japanese is beautiful. It's very challenging for sure. Yeah, that is Japanese. And awesome Alice says, look at Marco out here being trilingual. Yeah, trilingual. Yeah, that's very interesting. Harry, welcome. Hola a todos. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So yeah, that was phrase number 4. Okay. De nada, you're welcome. Okay, so the next one is no hay de qué. No hay de qué. This means don't mention it, or it's similar to don't mention it. So this is a very, very common phrase to say you're welcome in Spanish. You can say no hay de qué. So this phrase is not too basic. This phrase is more like advanced, and you sound more like you sound more natural when you say this. Instead of saying de nada, de nada, de nada, de nada, you can say also no hay de qué. No hay de qué. Don't mention it. Okay? So, do you guys have any questions about what we have learned so far? Okay, so I see Harry has an example for us. Harry saying, "Cuánto te lo agradezco para todo lo que hagas." Yeah, that's good. That's a good example. It sounds good, but I would change a few words. I'm not sure what you're trying to say specifically, but I would say cuánto te lo agradezco o cuánto te agradezco por todo lo que haces. That's similar to I can't thank you enough for cuánto te lo agradezco por todo lo que haces. I can't thank you enough for everything you do, right? So that's something that you could say in Spanish. Marcos is saying, where I'm from, they say the slightly more vulgar no hay pedo. Yes, that's something, I believe that's specifically in Mexico. And in Mexico, a lot of people say no hay pedo, which is very funny because no hay pedo means like there isn't any fart, or there's no fart, because pedo means fart. Pedo in Mexico has so many meanings, but yeah, it's a funny, more like slang way to say you're welcome. No hay pedo. Yeah, that's great, Marcos. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, so that's quite interesting, right? No hay de qué means don't mention it. Okay, so the next one, phrase number 6, is con permiso. Con permiso. This means, or it's similar to excuse me. Con permiso, excuse me. So if you have to go somewhere, you're talking with someone, and you have to go somewhere to do something else, just, for a few minutes, you can say con permiso. So excuse me for a sec. It's something similar to that, con permiso. Or if you're going through, somewhere, like if you are in a room and there's a lot of people, which right now it's not happening because, you know why. But if you are in a place or something like that, where you see a lot of people and you need to go from point A to point B, you can say con permiso. So excuse me, right? Just let me go through, con permiso. Con permiso. So yeah, this con permiso is very similar to excuse me. So you would use this phrase just as you use excuse me in English. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Yeah. James says, me gusta el sonido de no hay de qué. Yes, that's, yeah, no hay de qué. No hay de qué. That's a very, very, very good phrase for sure. Thank you, James. Okay, so let's see the next phrase. The next word, it's more like a word than a phrase, but the next word is salud. Salud. And that means bless you. So I'm pretty sure you understand this one pretty well. If someone sneezes, which again, it's not happening too often nowadays because you know why. Yeah, if someone sneezes, you can say salud, salud, and that means bless you. You know, so that's another interesting word. Also, salud is used to say cheers, you know, like when you're drinking something and you want to say cheers, you can say salud. But yeah, it's a polite way to say something, I assume. Yeah, cheers is it could be considered as a polite word or something like that. So salud, it means also cheers, or in this situation, salud means bless you. If someone sneezes, you can say salud. Excellent. Okay, so the next phrase is perdón. Perdón. Again, we're talking about words, but these are very polite words. So perdón is another way to say excuse me. Okay, perdón, excuse me. And also perdón means sorry as well. So perdón, if you do something that you want to apologize for, you can say perdón, or you can also say perdón if you want to say excuse me. So I would use perdón if you have to tell someone, if you have to say excuse me because you need to go somewhere and someone is in the way, you can say perdón, or con permiso, perdón. So yeah, that also can be used. And perdón also means excuse me. I mean, sorry. Okay, and disculpe is another way to say excuse me as well. So there are like 3 different ways to say excuse me in Spanish. The first one was con permiso, like we saw before. Also, you can say perdón, and also you can say disculpe, disculpe. And yeah, again, those 2 words are very similar to excuse me. Okay, perfect. Any questions so far? I think it's clear. It's good to learn how to say the same things differently, because that way you don't sound repetitive. That's for sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue. If you have any questions, just use the live chat. Perfect. So the next phrase is lo siento mucho. Lo siento mucho. So as we saw previously, you can say perdón to say sorry. But if you really want to sound like you're sorry, you can use this phrase. Lo siento mucho. Lo siento mucho. And this means I'm so sorry. I put mucho in brackets because you could say lo siento only. You know, you can say lo siento, and that means I'm sorry. But if you want to sound, or if you want to say I'm so sorry, you can say lo siento mucho. Okay? Lo siento mucho. And yeah, that means I'm so sorry. So use this phrase if you really want to apologize for something. Yeah, this is another helpful, really helpful phrase to sound polite, to sound apologetic. It's part of the whole politeness concept. Okay. That was phrase number 9. Wow. We went quite, like we were talking about this quite fast. But yeah, if you have any questions, guys, just let me know. I see that Marcos is saying it's weird how there's no direct word for sorry in Spanish. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there isn't a direct translation for that word, sorry. But yeah, in Spanish you can say that differently, and there are many ways to say I'm sorry in Spanish. Like we said before, perdón, disculpa, or disculpe. What was the other one? Well, you can say lo siento, and that means I'm sorry. You can say perdón, and that means also sorry. And disculpe as well. That's similar to sorry, but also it means excuse me. So it's interesting for sure. Okay. So Marcos is saying perdón translates more to forgiveness, and lo siento means like I feel for you. Yeah, if you literally translate lo siento, that means I feel for you. Yeah, it's similar to that for sure. Yeah, exactly. Perdón and lo siento mean sorry or am sorry in Spanish. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Excellent. So LS is asking, what's the difference between disculpe and discúlpeme? Both mean I'm sorry or excuse me. But disculpe is, I will say it's just more polite. Disculpe. It's like saying usted disculpe. So it sounds a bit more polite. And discúlpeme, that is like, it sounds still polite, but it's more like you have to forgive me, or like I'm sorry because I did something, and you're just emphasizing that you did something. So disculpe is just like a general word to say sorry, and discúlpeme is more like I did something, I'm sorry. Yeah, because me is like saying me, right? In Spanish, discúlpeme is like emphasizing that someone has to forgive you for something that you did. Okay. Okay, let's see the next phrase. Lo siento mucho means I'm so sorry. Okay. The next phrase is buen provecho. Buen provecho. Okay? Buen provecho is a phrase that this phrase is said when you're going to start to eat. Like every time you get the food, you're at the table, about to eat, you say Buen Provecho to everyone. And it's like saying, enjoy your meal. It's not like a literal translation of this phrase, but it's very similar to the English phrase, enjoy your meal. Buen provecho. Buen provecho. Enjoy your meal. So yeah, this is another important phrase to remember. If you start eating and say nothing, sometimes it's fine. But if you are surrounded by people that you don't know too well, you don't know too well, then you can say Buen Provecho because it's polite to say enjoy your meal, So this is said like it's like saying, I don't know if you've heard the Japanese phrase itadakimasu. Every time before someone starts eating, they say itadakimasu, something like that. So Buen Provecho is like that. You say it before eating. So if you're with your family, if you're with friends, if you're with people that you don't know too well, and you're together and you're going to start to eat something, usually people say Buen Provecho. Okay? Buen Provecho. And that means enjoy your meal. Yeah. Buen provecho. Exactly. Yeah. Marcos is also saying itadakimasu. Yes, that's Buen provecho is similar to itadakimasu. And also LS is saying, I now live in Spain. Would provecho be pronounced provecho? The V, are you referring to the V sound, the B and V sound? That's in English. In Spanish, usually B, the letter B or B, and the letter V or V, those two letters are pronounced similar, like they're the same pronunciation for both letters, so it sounds like B. So it's not a problem if you say provecho. You don't have to say provecho, the V sound in English. I know V and B are quite different in English, but in Spanish there is almost no difference at all. So you can say provecho. Yeah. I mean, that's not a big deal in Spanish, the B and V sound. Yeah, I mean, some people might pronounce it as V, provecho, but it's not a big deal. You can say Buen Provecho, and there's no issues there. Like, they will understand what you're saying. Okay, so Buen Provecho means enjoy your meal. Let's see the next phrase. No hay problema. No hay problema. This one I know some people in English, they say no problemo, and I'm not sure if they're trying to say something in Spanish, but the correct phrase is no hay problema. No hay problema. And that means no problem. So no hay problema is another common phrase to use in Spanish when you just want to say no problem, no hay problema. If someone is asking you for something, if they tell you, is it okay if I don't know, if I put my things here, you can say no hay problema. Okay? No hay problema. Yeah, no problem. I don't mind. Okay? So that's an easy phrase for sure. Okay, LS is sending quite, like, I see that that LS is sending some messages. I worry about how to do the Andalusian accent here. Okay, well, that's something else for sure. Yeah, that's the Andalusian accent is quite unique. And yeah, I don't know that much about that accent. But no, I'm not in Spain. I'm not in Spain, and yes, I know that in Spain they have certain pronunciation of certain letters, but yeah, I have a video about that, by the way. I think the title is Spanish from Spain or something like that. So I can add the link later on to the description of this video. And yeah. Okay, so let's move on. No hay problema, no problem. Okay, we have 2 more phrases to go. So the next one is me podría ... por favor. Me podría, por favor. This means, could you please? And this is a sentence that you can use in many different ways. Me podría ayudar, por favor. For example, I'm going to replace the dots with ayudar, right? Just like that. That means, can you help me? Can you help me? Okay, so this phrase is very useful. You can add different words here where the dots were. They can be verbs. They can be usually verbs. You can use verbs in this situation. And it can work for different situations as well. So me podría is like saying, could you me? And then por favor means please. So let's see what else I can do here. Me podría llamar, for example, llamar. And that means, could you call me, please? Could you call me, please? Me podría llamar, por favor. Could you call me, please? Let's see what else I can do here. Me podría contestar. Me podría contestar. I think it's a little big, this phrase. I don't know if you're seeing the phrase completely. Okay, so there you go. Me podría contestar, por favor. And that means, could you answer me, please? You know? So as we can see, this phrase can work in different situations, like many situations. So it's a good idea to remember this phrase. So, me podría blank, por favor. Could you blank me, please? Me podría is like saying, could you and me, and por favor means please. Excellent. So I see Anthony Grant. Welcome. How are you? Podría, yeah, podría. Oh yeah, I see the problem here. Podría. There you go. Thank you, Anthony. So that was a typo. Me podría. That's the correct word. Podría. And I'm sorry, I'm a human. I made a mistake. Yeah, podría is the correct word. Thank you, Anthony. That's correct. Marcos is saying, me podría traer comida de McDonald's por favor. Yeah. Yeah, that's like saying, could you please bring some McDonald's? Please. Yeah. That's a great example. Yeah, if you're calling to a pizzeria, to a pizza place, and you want to order a pizza, you can say, ¿Me podría traer una pizza, por favor? So that's a more like long phrase, but you could say, ¿Me podría traer una pizza? Oops. I can't. That's a long sentence, but it's something like this. ¿Me podría traer una pizza, por favor? That literally means, could you bring me a pizza, please? You know, like you could say this in Spanish, ¿Me podría traer una pizza, por favor? And it's perfectly fine. It's like saying, can you please, or could you please, or I would like to order a pizza, please, right? Perfect. So yeah, this is an interesting phrase for sure. Okay, let's see the next one. Okay, so this is the last one. This is not a sentence, but this is just like titles that are polite, and a lot of people use them in Spanish. You know this one right here. You know this one right here, Senor. Senor. I'm pretty sure you know this one. And that means sir or mister. So if you want to say something like sir or mister in Spanish, you can use señor, señor. Now, señora, that is this one is very tricky because you call señora to women or to a woman who is either married or that is a bit more, even like sometimes it's very peculiar, at least, or I need to explain this. I need to back up and explain this. But yeah, señora means ma'am or Mrs. Okay, so señora is used for people who are married, you know, usually women who are married. And señorita means miss, and that one is used for young ladies, you know, young ladies who are not married. You should never say you should never use señorita if the woman is not you should never use señorita if the woman is married. So señora for married women, señorita for single ladies. Okay, and this is something interesting because señorita, at least in Mexico, you call señorita to anybody who is not married. Of course, that person has to be a woman. But if you, for example, if you talk to someone who is, let's say, 80 years old, and that lady hasn't been married ever, you should call that lady señorita. Señorita. And sometimes women get mad if you call them señora, and if that woman is not married, they can get offended. So once again, señora for married women, señorita for single ladies. Okay. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So do you have any questions so far? Once again, señor means sir or mister. Señora means ma'am or Mrs. And señorita means miss. Okay? So that's really good to learn. For example, in my situation, I am señora. You can call me señora because I'm married, and that's fine, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, please let me know. Marcos is saying, ¿me podría traer una orden de tacos al pastor, por favor? Okay, so we're talking about tacos. Yeah, that's a great example of what we were talking previously with about the phrase me podría ... por favor. Yeah, that's a very good example. Again, Marcos, la señora Azúcar Astronauta es la mejor maestra de español. Yes, I guess. Thank you so much. That's a great phrase. It's correct. And I'm glad that you like the lessons. Thank you. Awesome Alice is saying, is using señora for unmarried women in Spanish like using ma'am for women under 60 in English? No, I would call señorita to any woman who is not married. No matter it doesn't matter if they're 60, 80, 20, you should call them señorita. Okay? Because that's the polite way of saying, or you're just saying, I'm not sure if you're married or not, but I will call you señorita just in case, And that's perfectly fine. If you don't know the person, if you don't know if that woman is married, then call that woman señorita. Okay? Don't pay attention to the age. Don't pay attention to anything else. Just call that woman señorita. If that person tells you, or that woman tells you, oh, I'm married, so you can now call that person señora, okay? Because sometimes there are ladies that get mad if you call them señora, okay? So if you don't know the person, just call that lady señorita, just in case, okay? Perfect. Yeah, I know ma'am in English is used usually. It's a respectful way to just say I don't know if ma'am is used the same as señora in Spanish, but ma'am is used to, like, it's a very polite way to address a woman for sure. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Any more questions? So we learned many different phrases. We learned helpful words as well. And you should use this every time you talk with a Spanish speaker, just in case, it's really good. It's a very good idea to be polite when you talk to someone in Spanish. And some of these phrases were basic, some of them were a little bit more advanced, but I think you should learn all of them for sure. Okay, you're welcome, awesome Alice. By the way, tomorrow we're gonna have a crossword puzzle, so I'm trying to do that around 6 p.m. Same time as this lesson. So if you're interested in guessing words in Spanish, please tune in, because tomorrow we will have a crossword puzzle about verbs, different verbs in Spanish. Okay, so Marcos Barrera, I know you like crossword puzzles for sure. You're really good at them. Yeah, you're really good at guessing words for sure. And last time, Kay Beck won the crossword puzzle. She guessed many words. And yeah, so if you're interested in playing, please, tomorrow, just tune in and we will have a crossword puzzle happening. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. Please, yes, Trent James says, fue buena, gracias. I guess the lesson was good. Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Trent in Tampa, crossword puzzle, por favor. Yes, tomorrow we will have a crossword puzzle. And Marcos Quebec is really good, but you are too. Okay, your Spanish is great. And I hope Anthony Grant can join us tomorrow, because he is another champion of crossword puzzles. So, okay, well, thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. Visit smlessons.com for more free Spanish lessons. And also, please give this video a like. That helps me a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.